everyone. GM. Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good. How are things going for you all today? Do we have the environment ready to start? I didn't see many issues, many issues in GitHub or Discord. I'm going to assume that it's all okay. But if any problems arise, please feel free to post or raise your hand or tell me here in the chat. Because today we're going to advance in the path of learning Solidity, learning more about Hello World. We're going to start doing those unit tests that I mentioned a while ago. Someone asked about the ways to catch those problems and now how to properly set up your how to properly build your smart contracts and how to set up your environment for avoiding security risks and all. We're going to start on this technique today by building tests. We're going to do a short review on the coding with VS Code on how to set up our environment. I'm going to do this setup in the last 10 minutes of yesterday's lesson or so before we start explaining about all of these components, about VM, about hard hat, Mocha, Chai, and all. And today's lesson is only about running this test on HelloWorld.sol. We're not going to advance it that much, but we're going to see how this test can allow us to understand more of the syntax of the more of the working of the architecture underlying of when we are calling those smart contracts from this environment. Okay, and all of the links are here. It is a short lesson. It's going to take 90 minutes or so, but it's shorting in the amount of that we are going to advance. Because again, I'm having this tool correctly set up on your environment, having everything working properly. When I click something and it happens something, you should do the same thing on your side. It's crucial for next lessons. We're going to use this tool for the next 2 weeks or so, for the next 6 lessons or so, actually. So I needed to be working on your machine, otherwise you're not going to follow most of the things that we're going to do, okay? So yes, it's a short lesson, small baby steps. Let's go slowly, make sure that it's working on your device so that we don't have problems in the future, okay? We don't want this to snowball. And we're going to review from the ending of lesson 5. We're going to skip all of the part of Open Zeppelin that we did yesterday. I'm going to pick from the last pieces of yesterday's lesson for creating a new project using hard hat, okay? And later we're going to clean it up. We're going to skip the task part. We're going to clean it up for starting our new project, okay? And I'm going to show how to do that every lesson for you to start this project for every new lesson, okay? So today we want to run the tests for HelloWorld.sol. Let's create a new project using these steps from lesson 5 before we get to lesson 6, okay? This is the last time I'm going to do that. This is slowly, so if you have problems, if your hard hat is still not working, if your node version is wrong or something is wrong on your system, now is the time for you to raise your hand and tell me, okay? I'm going to follow these instructions here. I have a terminal open in the same place we had yesterday. I have these 2 files, Open Zeppelin contracts and projects, and here I'm going to create the new project, okay? Yes, Naya?
You said to raise your hand if you aren't able to get the node version correct. For some reason, I keep running into an error. It's like my system is not recognizing the node version.
If you do node like this, it doesn't give you the version.
It does give me the version, but it's not the I'm getting an error when I try to use hard hat that says like the node version that I'm using is not compatible with hard hat. So And then when I try to change the node version based on the instructions from the lesson, it's not changing over.
Okay, but two separate things. This error that hard hat is giving you is actually a warning. So you can use hard hat, right?
Okay.
So this is one thing, but we can say that. And the second thing, for you to change the node versions depending on your system, you need a little of configuration. This is why I suggest NVM to download and install and manage those versions on your system. Do you have NVM?
I have NPM.
Okay, this NVM, it's in the documentation for yesterday's lesson here
Yeah.
in the top. So not for today, but for tomorrow, if you want to try using the NVM, you can quickly swap those node versions like this. NVM use 20. And now I'm using node version 20. If I do node version, it's 20. You see, it's very efficient for swapping versions.
Okay. I will keep trying to get it to work.
Okay. Did you try to install NVM yesterday?
Yeah, so I already had a lot of this tech on my machine, but I didn't have NVM and I didn't have hard hat, and I was trying to get them to work. And I think I'm still running into errors, but I don't have the errors with me. So instead of taking up class time, I'll try to get it to work, and if I can't, I'll drop it in the questionnaire, and hopefully you'll be able to help me.
Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to use Node 22, the same one that you have. Pedro is saying that it has to the same idea, the LTS. We are going to go with this version today, and you do the same commands there on your machine, okay, Naya? I don't want to leave no one behind. So let's try the same thing, and you raise your hand if it doesn't work, okay?
Yeah, you just mentioned my name. It's just to say I have that same warning. If you are using version 22, that will appear. But it's okay. Like everything works the same. It just
Okay,
gives that
yeah.
warning because your hard hat was not compiled with in the list of versions of compatible NPMs. It does not include version 22, but everything of the lesson of yesterday, it works. Okay.
Thank
At
you,
least
Paige.
in my machine. Yeah.
Let's try. Let's try. I cannot guarantee that everything is going to work with version 22, but let's try. Okay. Sometimes for tech, we need some bravery, we need some faith, we need some hope. Those are very important soft skills for solving tech problems. And I'm partially not kidding. So let's get started. I am in this folder with the same folders of yesterday, what we did. I'm going to create a new folder called Project 2. And for future lessons, we can organize this better. This is just an example. I'm going to enter this project 2, and I'm going to initialize the hard hat here, npm init, just to add everything. I'm going to install the hard hat local dependency, dev dependency with this command. Okay. For next lessons, I'm going to show how to copy the files from one place to the other. For today's lesson, I'm going to do that again as a review, starting from scratch. What we need to put. So we need to install hard hat as a dev dependency. Good. After I install hard hat, I'm going to run the command init. Which option should I take again?
That's good.
With VM.
Should be VM. Good. Yes, Naya, you raise your hand.
Yes. Do you have to install hard hat locally for each project? Like each time you create a new project, you're gonna have to do this? Okay. Okay.
Yes. It is by design because you can have different projects with different versions of hard hat. They created it to be like that, to be replicable. Okay. Browns, you have a question? I guess we can't hear you. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, maybe you want to type the question. Are you Deji? You have your hand raised too? Or
Yeah.
actually,
Why don't we choose create with TypeScript only? Why are we choosing with them?
sorry, I couldn't get your question.
Why don't we choose create the adults with only TypeScript? Why are we choosing it with them?
Because later in this bootcamp, we're going to build a D app with React, and most of the SDKs and packages out there are using VM. I do prefer Ethers. I've been using Ethers for 4 years now on the things that I do. I started with Web3.js and Truffle, then VM for most of my career, and Ethers actually for most of my career. But VM has picked a lot of adoption since last year, 2 years ago. So it's difficult to run from it, and the sooner we embrace it, the better. Okay? This is why we are going to go with VM from day one, from the first week, so that we don't have the pain, the drama of migrating from Ethers to VM later. But I'm going to show Ethers in the future. Okay. I'm going to explain about the VM today too. Okay. Today's lesson is exactly about that. I'm going to pick all the default options. Then I'll create the Mocha RC file, the Mocha RC.json. Remember to put exactly the same names, the dot and everything. Wait for it to finish. Okay. I'm going to create this file with whatever text editor that you prefer. Okay. I'm going to create a .env. Going fast because this is what we saw yesterday. Okay. The same steps that we did yesterday. So let me put this here. And to test if everything is working, I should run this command, npx hard compile. Okay, this is the test to see if everything is working. This was very slow in yesterday's lesson. Now it compiled correctly. And I can do npx hard test. Okay. So this is just a review. If you want to have another project there for today's lesson, you can create this project and go along, or you can use yesterday's project folder that we have. Okay, just remember that for future times that you want to create a new project. Okay, questions about this process, having hard installed, having it ready to compile things and test things, nothing to do with the OpenZeppelin contract. The OpenZeppelin contract was just a showcase. Okay, this is about setting up a new project with Hard Hat. Okay, now that we saw that OpenZeppelin uses Hard Hat, and now setting up a new project with Hard Hat, these are the steps. Okay, Naya, you have another question?
Yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm gonna be a question heavy student today, but do you mind like just very quickly going back through the process one more time so I can see what I guess like whether or not you're getting any errors and like what your system is saying, because I just want to make sure that I have everything installed properly on my machine.
Perfect. First of all, don't bother asking questions because there are a lot of people with the same questions, but they don't ask. So when you ask, you're doing a service for the whole bootcamp, for the whole cohort. Okay, don't worry. The first command we did was installing Hard Hat. Okay. So when you initialize the project, it should install HelloWorld and it shouldn't give any errors. It might give warnings like this, but no errors. Is that okay for you?
No, I automatically have some errors here. It's mostly with resolving chai. I have like a conflicting peer dependency.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like these here, right?
No, it's not even a warning. I think let me see if copy pasting is, or maybe a screenshot I can do.
Yeah, you can even install a new start a new project, like create a new folder
Mm-hmm.
with a new project, initialize it, and then install. It should go correctly out of the box, right?
Yeah, let's see. That doesn't let me. Yeah, you're not allowed to drop anything in comments, but yeah, I'll start a new project and see if I get a clean setup.
Yeah, takes like 2 minutes maximum. Like create a new project, enter
Mhm.
that project, initialize the npm, and
Okay.
then do like this. And I see
Oh,
that
maybe I can.
Ryan has
Yeah.
a similar issue. So for all of you having issues, try this. Try starting from scratch, create a new folder, project 2, or new project, whatever name you want to put it. Initialize npm there, and then install HelloWorld to see if it works.
Mateos,
Yes.
when I do this, it says error HH23, and then it seems that I am trying to initialize a project inside an existing hard project, and then it refers to a path with hardhat.config.ts of the previous project, so folder project and not folder 2, and not project 2.
Yeah, so this is the thing. This is why I have this comment here. You should pick a directory in another place, like a desktop, whatever, and make sure that your folder is not inside any other project folder in your device. This happens sometimes, okay?
So you mean in another part of the tree?
Yeah, you should pick somewhere safe on your computer that is not inside another project, you see?
Okay. So, okay, I will do this. Okay. So, because project and project 2 are stored in the same folder. Is it an issue?
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue like if they are one aside the other. Look, I have project and project 2. It's not a problem. The problem is that if you have like a package.json here or somewhere up the tree, if I do like this, I can guarantee you that I don't have a package.json here in this folder or 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 in this folder, okay? And in none of these folders up to here, I have a packet.json file there, okay? Make sure. All of these comments that I have here are for like 3 years teaching the same structure, the same processes, and those are the most common questions from students. This is why I recommend paying attention line by line so that we can converge everyone. Naya, your problem was about the init comment, right?
Yes, I am up to I've initialized hard hat. I've got it with VM. So I'm doing well now.
Okay, good, good. So to test if everything is correctly, do this command npx hot compile. And then if it compiles one file or it says nothing to compile, you're good to go.
Can I ask what is nano? What is that keyword? What does that do?
It's just a text editor. I use it just to be quick, but you can use any text editor that you have. Okay. Nano is like a text notepad, but in the terminal. Okay. Any other questions for running this test. Today's lesson is all about using hard. So if you don't have it working there, we are going to have a problem. Okay. So Browns. So if you follow these steps, the npm init, npm install, hard init, pick this option of the TypeScript project with VM, and then run the configuration, mock RC in the env, you should have it correctly. Okay, then you can compile and test. Okay, it's not necessary to use nano. You can use any text editor that you prefer. Okay, literally any text editor that you would like. Okay, the instructions are here in lesson 5. Okay, step by step. Yes, Browns.
Okay, if you can't use, you don't have monkey.json in your project, will it still run?
I do have. Look, I have it
You don't
here.
have it.
Mockrc.json. This one, right?
Yes, yes. Is it compulsory for you to have it? Is it compulsory? Is it compulsory? Is
You
it a
should
must?
put in the root, together with the package.json, the root of the same
Okay,
directory that you have your configuration files. It should be in the root of your project. Okay, for it to
okay,
work,
okay.
you should create it. So what we're doing all of this setup, just so that when we let me open this with cursor. When we build a smart contract here inside a hard project, when we put it in the correct folder, that is the correct folder, hard can use it. We know that a smart contract is written in so that they are being to target the EVM, yes. But when we create them here inside this contract folder, hard can use this inside an environment called hard runtime environment, HRE, to emulate all of the workings of the blockchains, the blocks, the transactions, the accounts, and all of that in a very, very, very lightweight client, virtual machine client, for you to run scripts, for you to run tests, for you to connect to testnet, for you to connect with mainnet, all inside one environment. So it's a very complete tooling that can serve a lot of different purposes for building smart contract, for security audits, for later for helping you to build the decentralized applications on top of it and all. And it's using TypeScript as the major language for doing all of that, which is very convenient for us because we are also going to do the front end, the apps using TypeScript. Okay. So before we start lesson 6, let's just understand the power of this tool. We have this smart contract here called lock, and it has some complex structures. Like it has an event here, it has a payable constructor, it has a requirement here, this unlock time, it has this withdrawal. Most of the things that we are seeing here, we saw in the week 1, but it's still it is somewhat complex smart contract, right? It's not that easy to read. But we have a test file written in TypeScript. We have a lot of test scenarios here that describe saying that this is a deployment, and when I have a deployment, should set the right unlock time, the right owner, and all. And this is interacting with this object that is a smart contract deployed here in this virtual testnet, in this local machine testnet. So what happens is that when I run this test command in my console, I have a clear description an emulation of what would happen in the blockchain here in my local machine. And let's read through this. Lock contract at deployment. It should set the right unlock time. It should set the right owner. Should receive and store funds to lock. Should fail if the unlock time is not in the future. And when I want to withdraw, it should revert in if called too soon or if another account calls it, and it shouldn't fall if the correct conditions are there. So from this text description, can you make sense of what this smart contract is doing? Reading the code of that smart contract is a little complex, yes. But from the description of those tests, can you get a good idea of what is that?
It seems like it receives some funds, locks the funds, waits for some time, and after that time, the owner can get the funds
Yeah,
and withdraw.
for example, I'm saving money for a Christmas gift for my kids. Okay, I'm putting, let's say, $1,000 in that smart contract. But in July, we have the release of PlayStation 6, for example, and I want to withdraw this $1,000 to buy this PlayStation 6. I can't. I need to wait up to Christmas because I've locked this so that I'm going to save this money to buy the gift for my kids. So no one else can withdraw, and even I can't withdraw because I've locked that money there inside this smart contract. Is that clear for everyone? Reading here is super simple. Remember, we want to have some peace of mind while developing things, and all we don't want to be afraid and paranoid with everything that we do. So this is a clear way for us to state out in a written way, in a human readable way, what this smart contract is doing, and still have something very close to the actual workings of that smart contract. If you read the solidity, you're going to see that it is indeed doing everything that it's promising. Okay. Good. So this is why we're using this tool. This is what we're going to get out of it, and I'm going to explain all the components today.
Mateus, sorry to interrupt. To
No
get
worries.
back to the initialization, so I was ready. I was okay to create a project 3 in another part of the tree. So it did work. npm init, npm install, npx hard hat. Once we use Nano and the files, mocarc and env, what are we supposed to do inside this? To be honest, I try to replicate what you do, and maybe I'm the only one, but it goes a bit fast for me.
Oh yeah, it was because it was a review for yesterday's lesson.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, but at the end of the day, it's useful to, I don't know, can I directly make the test then? Or?
Yeah, for example, if you have text editor, notepad in your machine, or even VS Code.
Nano, if I put Nano, it works, but I mean...
Okay, then you create this file,
yeah.
name it .mocarc.json, and you put this content there, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is the content that you should put there. This is all in the README of lesson 5, okay?
Okay. And then the same for env?
Yeah, the same for env. For Thursday's lesson, you need to fill up this env with your actual API keys and all, but for today, it's not going to be necessary, okay? You can even skip the env part. And then you can test with this command hard compile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
people using warp terminal there.
If we don't update the mocarc and the env file, the hard compile will fail?
No, the mocarc.json is useful for this feature here that I'm going to use today and tomorrow. This test, that is this testing suite with Mocha Test Explorer, and we're going to click on tests like this to run this single test, for example. And if you don't have the mock.rc.json, this is not going to work. Okay, you don't have this interface here working.
Okay.
Leila, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry.
Hi. Yeah, so the ENV, we just copy pasted right now. We keep it empty for now. We just
Yeah,
proceed.
it is a homework for you. Until Thursday's lesson, you should pick one of your keys. For example, let's say you have alchemy. Then you would fill alchemy key here. Then you would put your private key here or your mnemonic here or both if you want, okay, from your MetaMask wallet. So for example, you would fill
You
those two
said
until Thursday.
there was something that we should not, I don't recall, but you said there was something that we should not copy paste by accident over there in the ENV. Which one is it?
Yeah, I told you that you should not use any private key for any wallets that you might have balance on the mainnet. So create a new wallet, empty wallet, development wallet, okay? And do not use anything that you have money, real money on it, okay?
Okay. But testnet like is fine. Money
Yeah,
that we got from the testnet is fine.
money on the testnet is okay.
Okay.
We're going to need it actually. Okay. So for for this test extension, you need to install this recommended extension here, the Mocha Test Explorer, for it to work, okay? If you already have it installed, you should see this testing pane. Then you can refresh the tests, and then you can run this test there. If you have the mock RC and the test, it should work, okay?
You need to enable the extension maybe,
Yeah, it can
because
be.
you need to trust in the project.
Okay, and every time that we create a new project with Hat, it's going to come with these files, the contract, the test. If we want to keep them, okay, but usually we want to clear them up. We want to remove them for starting our own projects just to keep it organized. So I'm going to run all of these commands. Remove everything from contracts here. Yes. I'm going to remove everything that I have inside the ignitions folder. I need to remove folder 2. And I forgot this remove folder comment, but it's not a big deal. And I remove everything inside tests. And I also do a hot clean that is going to clean my artifacts, my cache, everything. So I have a clean project for me to start working with it. Okay. This is the starting point for today's lesson. This will create a project that we can work on. I don't have anything inside contracts. I don't have anything inside ignitions. I don't have anything inside tests. It's clear, and we can start working on it. You can use the same repository for future lessons later. Just copy and paste the correct files, and you're good to go. Okay. Naya, you have a question?
Yes, for one quick question about using the nano keyword in the terminal, does it create a new file every time, or can you use it to edit existing files as well?
You can use it to edit. You have these comments. Okay. But again, I suggest you choose something that you are familiar. Don't work with Nano. You can use any text editor that you prefer. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of them, so I'll use Nano because I'm learning from scratch anyway.
That is, for example, Notepad. You might have a Notepad like this on your computer, like this, that you can create in your documents and all. It's very easy to use Okay, or you can use VS Code, any, because we're going to see a lot of things. So the less things you need to worry about, the better. Let's not put too much on our plates here.
Mateus?
Yeah, let me just pick Oladimir question. You raise the hand and then I go for you, Lauren. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question about this removing files that were created automatically. For new project, we have to always do it manually. No, we don't have like a command to create a project where we will not need to remove this contract folder, stuff like this.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to show that there is a very easy way to go with it. You just copy these files. Now that you have it installed, you copy the correct files back and forth, and this becomes like a boilerplate, a cookie cutter project, something like that, you know? Today I wanted to review all of those steps.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Laurent, you asked something.
Yes, when I try to run the rm /contract blah blah to delete, it says that no such file or directory. But when I do ls, I see the contract file.
Okay, are you using Windows?
Mac.
That's interesting. Well, you can always fall back to delete here. Like you open your contracts and it delete it directly. Let's say you have some file here.
Okay. So no files in contract, no files in ignitions, and no files in test, right?
Yeah, you can just come here and delete normally. Come here and delete.
It's a bit
It's good to
strange,
go.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And Browns, you have a question? I guess your mic is not working again. For today's class, we should delete the code in contract ignition test. Yes, that's correct. First, you start with the clear folder. Okay. Good. So, lesson 6. We're going to understand this environment, understand what is happening under the hood when we do a test file, because Solidity is meant to target the EVM, even though we are using that with TypeScript, what is happening. Okay. So we're going to understand this link. We're going to understand the VM library that is used there. So this under the hood. Pick the documentation for this. So we're going to use this library. Hat can use VM and can use ethers to interact with the blockchain. This we're going to go with VM, a library that has composable type safe ways for you to use blockchain elements. We are going to create tests, unit tests for us to target the execution with VM inside this hot runtime environment, inside the HRE, because the syntax that we're going to use for tests is going to be the same syntax that we're going to use later for scripts. And we're going to learn things about Solidity, learn about mappings, arrays, structs, a lot of different objects using this. Okay, so you can click, you can debug, can be some sort of your sandbox environment. This was the word I was looking for. It is your lab for you to test things around freely using this environment, okay? You might recall from the weekend project, interact with the remix, you go there, connect, you inject the provider, and now it's tricky, you got to do everything manually. Here we're going to have a very well-prepared sandbox for you to test all of that automatically using these tools, okay? We are going to use this Mocha testing suite. It's not pertaining only about smart contracts. Mocha is a very widespread used testing suite for Node.js that can prepare your environment for running these tests. And it seems something complex. You need to learn about testing. You need to learn about TDD, blah, blah, blah. But actually, no. Actually, we're going to see that this is very simple. This is basically just a console log, a more embellished console log. Okay, we're going to understand the idea of those testing suites in a while. We are going to use a little of the TDD methodology, not the whole test-driven development methodology, but we're going to write unit tests that fail first, and then we're going to keep coding on them so that they pass. This is a very good methodology, or applying parts of it is very good for software development with Solidity, because it differently from normal software development, from like building website, mobile apps that you can quickly iterate now. When you are building smart contracts, it is much more similar to building hardware than actually building software, because after you ship, after you deploy and pay the costs, you can't roll back. You cannot fix a bug. You cannot add a new feature very simply. There are methodologies for that we're going to see at the end of this bootcamp, but usually the most things that you need to do with smart contracts is that you need to take a lot of care. For each 1 hour spent developing a smart contract, you spend like 5 hours or so with tests to make sure that it is correctly well designed, it is well architected, it is safe, it's efficient. So TDD can be a little overkill when you are building like a website, a mobile app for your client. Yes, I agree. Some development environments, you can scratch all tests completely and do it later when you have revenue. Yes, but for smart contracts, I do not suggest doing that. You can enter in serious trouble if you skip the testing part for smart contracts. Okay. We can use Agile. Okay, I use Agile with TDD a lot. It's just that we don't release a smart contract and fix it later. You never do that. You would write the unit tests for what you want to test first, everything failing, and then you can go coding feature by feature to see how you would proceed, how you would make the smart contract work. Okay. This is how we have been operating for almost 5 years in the factory with very good results, because then you can collaborate well into the development, you can measure how far you progressed, you can see the problems, you can discuss them with your clients, with your stakeholders. Okay, so this kind of process, I know that it can be like boring or overkill for normal software development, but for Solidity, for smart contract development, this is very well done. Okay, this is a very good addition for your techniques, for your set of techniques for developing smart contracts. Okay. I even say that about hackathon projects. If you start hackathon projects by writing your documentation unit tests, you can have a very good competition edge against all the other people, but that's another discussion for the future. Okay. So let's pick a contract called HelloWorld.sol. Let me put it here in my contracts folder. I'm going to create a new file called HelloWorld.sol. Okay, and I'm going to copy this content, exactly the same thing that we have been using last week in the weekend project too. Okay, good. Do that on your side. Create a HelloWorld.sol inside your contracts, and then you create the Solidity file here. Okay.
Mateos,
Yes.
to have deleted all the file in contract, test, and so on and so forth is not an issue?
I've deleted everything from contracts, from ignitions and tests, because I want my project organized. Now I'm going to create this new file, this new contract.
Okay.
Okay.
But my question is, because we perform the remove functions command, it's not an issue. We can restart from there.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's like this. When you start hard, it comes with some files there, some pre-filled files. Okay? Then you need to remove to do your things. It's like when you buy shoes. When you buy shoes, it comes with that little bunch of paper inside, right? And then you can wear it with that paper inside if your feet's too small, or you can remove that paper and put your feet there, right? Something very similar here. You can use the project after deleting those smart contracts. Don't worry. Okay, Arda, you have a question?
We didn't do the accounts part today. Do we need them to run the contract?
No, it was just a demonstration yesterday. Okay, we don't need that function. We should mention it later, but we don't need it. Okay, now you sent me a message here about your error. In private, maybe you want to check that later. Dante, you raise your hand. You have a question?
Yes, thank you. Are you using Cursor? And if you are, how are you getting, I guess, Solidity texting on there? Because I'm using it as well.
Okay, Cursor and VS Code, they should work just like the same. And if you want to have the correct styling, you need this extension that you mentioned yesterday, the Solidity from Hard Hat. Okay, you can just search for Solidity here. Okay, there is two of them, one Blanco and Hard Hat. You're going to pick this one from Hard Hat, okay? Good.
Okay, excellent. I found it. Watching you
worries.
do it, I was able to see where it is. Okay, thanks.
No worries, yeah. See, much better than a YouTube video, right? You can stop and ask questions. I'm here for that, people. Today's lesson is exactly about that. Don't worry with slowing down the lesson now. We need to have everyone on board. We need to have everyone with this working. I'm going to use these tools a lot for teaching. These tools are going to become your teacher, so I'm not even speaking about Cursor yet, but it's possible that you come here and chat and you ask questions like, what is a payable constructor? Okay, and then the AI is going to explain about that for you. Okay, but I'm not going to go there. Just explain why I'm using Cursor instead of VS Code. Both they should behave the same. They should have the same UI, the same look and feel. Okay, but Cursor has these AI things that are super cool. Okay. So we have a smart contract. This smart contract is not new for anyone. And just one second. Naya, I'm sorry. I guess I forgot about the question. You were having problems with VM, right? Maybe you want to raise your hand. If things don't work for you later, you raise your hand and let me know. Okay, because I'm going to get there with the VM just in a while. So we have a smart contract here. How to test that smart contract directly, like we did in the weekend. We would deploy that to a testnet, we would connect to an injected provider, we would send transaction to it, right? If I want to interact with more than one account. Now we would do all of that manually. Remix has some options for us to run the scripts there too, like JavaScript, scripts and all, but don't have this full suite that we're going to use today, especially when integrating with the apps later. So what we're going to do is creating a TypeScript file here under the test folder, a TypeScript file named named HelloWorld.ts or named test.ts. The name of the file doesn't matter at all. And we're going to create a test structure similar to this. Okay, but I'm going to go slowly, step by step. I'm going to create this file called HelloWorld.ts, okay, inside the test folder. And here I'm going to put one thing, console log hello world. Let me disable the cursor here just for a while. Okay. So this is a test file, people. I know that when you look the structure of that test, and now it seems like very complex and now, but the test file is just a script written in TypeScript. So if I run this test now, if I run this same command we had a while ago, npx hard hat test, what I'm going to have is hello world. Do you get the idea? Maybe this didn't click yet. The script files that we're doing here, when we look at it in the README, it seems something complex, full of structure, full of complexities and things that you need to learn from scratch and all. Yes, but actually where we started, this is just a script, just a script file. And we can do console log, we can execute, and then it says hello world. Because we are using Mocha, this test suite here, we have this kind of output, zero passing, zero test passing, because we didn't make any test pass at all. But this could be a script. This could be a normal script that I just run, execute, and it works without Mocha, you see? Okay, let's go slowly and understand the things here. My tests could go like this. If 1 equal to 2, then this is not going to work. Okay. Const a equal to 0. Let's do something like that. Const a equal to math dot random. Okay. If a it's higher than 0.5, then I would throw an error. My test failed. Something like that. This is a very crude, rudimentary way to write a test. I have a condition that I want to test. If it fails, I will throw an error. So if I run it here, you don't need to worry with typing that too fast. I'm just demonstrating things. So if I run this test, it had this error. But look at this. This is not a very beautiful error. We have all of these around. Oh, my test failed. And now when it passes, okay, it's kind of beautiful. But okay, I'm out of luck here. Or I'm doing something incorrect. From 0, right? See if I, okay, passing, good. But when it's not passing, it gives me that ugly error. Okay. Luck is not on my favor today. But you see, this is something that could be testing. If something happens, I have this error. If something doesn't have, I don't have this error. Okay, it goes. The problem is that testing like this can be messy. The outputs are ugly, too verbose, and it's not helping me to find the error that happened. Okay, so this is why we use assertion libraries. We use different test scenarios and assertion libraries. For example, like chai, like this assertion library, which is not doing anything that complex. It's just giving me some sort of assertions that I can put. For example, I can do the requires, expect, and all. So this zoom stuff. For example, I expect foo to be a string. I expect foo to equal to bar. Those kind of outputs, they're going to be a little more beautiful, a little more organized, a little more visual for us. Okay. So if I do something like this, expect answer to equal to 42 and all, the outputs of this would be much more organized, like the ones that we saw a while ago. This is not doing anything too complex or new. It's just organizing the output, okay? And the way that those tests would go, we would have parallel testing environments that are not related to each other. I would have different test paths with new objects that they don't carry over. Okay, because one test can be can influence the other. Imagine you're testing a car. Let's do a metaphor. Imagine you're testing a car. If it is fast, if the air conditioning is working well, if it is comfortable, and if it can resist your crashes. Okay, those four in sequence. And then you test first the speed, you accelerate, it's going very well. Good. And then you test the air conditioning, okay, it's going well. Then you test for comfort, okay, it's feel comfortable. And then you hit it against the wall, okay, it resists. It doesn't kill anyone. Of course, you do that with a decoy, but it goes well. Okay, you test those four things they are passing. And then you're going to test it again with another car. But then first you hit it against the wall. Okay, it resists. But then you sit inside of it, the car is a wreck. Now it's not that comfortable. Now you try to turn the air conditioning on, it's not working. Now you try to accelerate, it's not moving. So the tests are failing. Why? Because you hit it against the wall first, right? Using the same car. You see how those tests, they would interfere with each other. The test that you do first could carry over the results for the second test and so forward. This makes sense? So this is why we're going to create this structure here. We're going to create one describe scenario like Mocha is explaining here. I would have one describe scenario of one thing that I'm doing, then another, and then all the test scenario and all, that I would do those in separate. Let me copy this code. Let me copy this code. So I would do all of those tests separate in different environments, in different simulations, let's put it like this, where they don't interfere to each other. They would do things in parallel. They would have new instances of the things like this car metaphor. You would have new cars for each of those tests, okay? So here I'm describing a test for an array of the function index of. It should return as -1 when the value is not present. So if I run this script like this, I'm going to test this array, and I'm going to have something like this. This is passing. It should return -1 when the value is not present. But if I test something else, it should return one when the value is not present, but then I put number 4 here, which is there, and then it's going to fail. So I have those two tests in parallel now. The index of and this other, we have this error here because I expected one thing and another thing happened. Okay. So this is all of the complexity of tests. We can explain that in 15 minutes and start using this syntax for tests for what we are going to do with smart contracts. Okay. Questions here about this structure before we start using? We saw that it's a script, just a script file that we can execute. And now we saw that it has some structure needed for making the tests running in parallel. Okay. All good. Taufik, I have a question.
Yeah, as you said earlier that we need to create our test case first, right? Before coding into Solidity.
Yes,
Uh,
that would help you to manage your flow of development.
so it means like in Solidity work, I mean, usually like in software development, we know like Scrum and Waterfall, something like that. So means that in our Solidity developments, is there any like something like that, like software development lifecycle, or yeah, any kind of that?
Yeah, this is a very good question. We're going to see that within this bootcamp. The thing with Solidity and actually with any smart contract coding language is that after you deploy something, there is no iteration. If you have $1 billion there in management inside your smart contract, then you find an error, your funds are going to be drained, you know. If your token is incorrect and you want to change it, that you're going to spend thousands of dollars in gas for migrating the token for another smart contract. So everything that you deploy with smart contracts, it's like doing hardware. Imagine you are selling like photographic cameras all over the world. You sold like 10,000 of those to Europe, to Asia, United States, to Latin America, Africa, and then you discover a problem that after taking 3 million photos, the camera is going to blow up. You need to recall all of that, take all of these costs, pay for insurance, you know. So whenever you are shipping a smart contract, it can have a lot of possible problems and all. But the more you test it before, the better. Okay.
Mm.
And we're going to see some examples of how to do that in this bootcamp.
Okay, so means like before we release it to the public, yeah, better we'll just prepare the test case and maybe for testnet and doing a lot of testing
Exactly. Exactly. This is
instead of
going to
just
be a two for the price of one thing. We're going to use tests for learning Solidity. And also, since you learn tests, you can use it in the future for building your smart contracts. Okay.
Okay, understand.
It's going to be a good investment.
Thank you.
So let's start with this big test structure that we have. Now that I explained the whole structured thing, let's start wrapping our heads on the actual content for the things that we want to solve. Okay. Can you hear me well, people? Some rounds are saying that you cannot hear me. Let me see.
I can.
Okay, good. So we're going to copy that test script that we have in the README, and we're going to paste here everything line by line. But I do have the explanations for all of these items or all of these components that I'm pasting here. Okay, and I know it's a big homework, but the sooner you go through all of these documentation links, the better. Okay, the sooner you would be prepared for coding that on your own. Let me do one test scenario first. Okay, when we deploy the smart contract, now recalling from what you did in the weekend, when we deploy this smart contract, it should have a text of hello world in the beginning, right? So I have exactly this test scenario in line 27. And I know that there is a lot of syntax here for us to learn now. And I'm going to go over them very slowly in 20 minutes or so that you can get a hang of it for tomorrow. I'm going to use my test suite, my test explorer. I'm going to run it again with this button, refresh tests, and it should show something like this. The Hello World contract, it should have all of these, let's call it folders, test scenarios, folders that I can execute there inside. I should be able to, wait, not here. I should be able to reset the test state here. Somewhere should be a button to reset the state. It's not, maybe here somewhere. We should have a small drop-down menu. See what's happening here. Yeah, here. So that is clear our results. Okay, good. We can start with this. Now all the results are cleared. If you have your Mocha Test Explorer working correctly, set up correctly, you should see something like that. And I'm going to run this one test by clicking this button to see if it works. It should give a hello world. Okay, so this is going to Bootstrap upload that virtual machine blockchain, is going to deploy the smart contract and is going to call this function, and it passes it. Should give a hello world, it passed it here. They expect a hello world text to equal to hello world, it passes. If you can't find these buttons, it might be because of your Mocha Test Explorer not working. Okay, you should have the testing suite there. Should have your files. Okay, so should have the Mocha rc.json, and you should have the Mocha Test Explorer for you to find these buttons. Okay. If I change anything in the Solidity file, for example, I'm going to change hello world to hello there. Okay. I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to compile my smart contracts again. Yeah, exactly how to compile. Now, if I run the same test again, test that was passing, now this is going to give me an error. Here, I expected the hello there to equal to hello world. So this is the kind of developer experience that we want to give you. Okay? We are going to do things in Solidity, and we are going to see them happen here with TypeScript. Okay? It's not that TypeScript is better than Solidity, whatever. It's just that we're going to use it a lot in the future for building applications, front end, and all of the kind of stuff, the scripts and all. So being able to navigate those two worlds and having them communicating is very important. Is the only single thing that we need to understand today for you to use tomorrow. Okay. So Naya, you raised your hand. Want to go first?
I have two questions. The first is, why are we using Hard Hat over Foundry? Just curious.
Yeah, because we are going to use TypeScript later for building the apps.
Okay.
So everything that we do here with TypeScript, you're going to reuse later.
Okay. And the second one is that I have an error that says like contract owner is of type unknown in the tests. I'm not sure if there's something that I did wrong earlier.
When you run this test, it's giving you errors.
Yeah, it's saying that contract owner is of type unknown. So the
Did you compile your smart contracts?
okay. Yeah, let me try that.
It might be the thing. You gotta go here for compiling, compile, and then you should be able to execute this command. Okay. Arda, you want to go next?
Yes. I have installed Mocha, and I have the Mocha RC JSON. But when I do tests, it says no tests have been found in this workspace yet.
Okay. Do you have the .mocha.rc.json?
Yes.
It's with the dot, and you have your VS Code open in the same folder.
Yes.
Sometimes if you are in the folder above, it doesn't work. Like if you are in a folder above.
I'm supposed to be in the project folder, right?
You should be, yeah, in this case, project 2. So you open this folder. You
Yeah,
come here, file, open folder, and then you open that folder.
Okay, let's try that.
Yeah, I see a question here in the chat of here. In the meantime, we have to compile every time that you do a change here in Solidity for it to create those artifacts, okay? When you do from the CLI, it compiles automatically for you. But when you do from the Mocha Test Explorer, you gotta compile yourself. Okay. Arda, did you open it in the folder?
Yes, I did. I mean, I reopened. I have cursor, so I reopened it, and then
you go for testing and click in this button, refresh tests.
I don't see any tests, so that doesn't show up.
You don't have this testing?
I do have that. I click that, but then Test Explorer says no tests have been found.
Because what we have here in the
Oh, okay.
mockrc.json is asking for us to search for all the tests. So you should have the test here inside this folder, right?
Yeah, okay, so Test Explorer appeared now, and then when I hit refresh, it did refresh, and I see it now.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, because I wouldn't have anything else to test, so that's a relief. Okay, Browns, you have a question? Let me see if you type it here in the chat. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can
Yeah.
hear you. Okay, so my question is for the yes. Um, I wanted to know if how does testing actually work? Does it have to be related to the Solidity contract that we wrote, or how does it actually recognize function that is written in Solidity?
Yeah, this is exactly the part we're going to spend like tomorrow's lesson all in that. This link between the Solidity things that we are doing, and I even mentioned about Foundry. Yes, with Foundry you can test with Solidity and write a Solidity test for that. Okay, but Solidity is not a language written for tests. It's a language written for targeting the EVM. So how we are bridging from Solidity that we have here to a testing suite, and what creates that link? It's exactly what we're going to see more. We're going to see a bit of that today yet, and more tomorrow, using that piece called the HRE, the Hot Runtime Environment. Okay, we're going to see how the Hot Runtime Environment can connect to VM, importing VM from Hot, and how, for example, we can deploy contracts on it, or how we can get a wallet clients on it. So we're going to go over these very slowly until we dominate it all. Okay. Good. And Laurent, you have a hand raised, right?
Yes, so I use
Yeah.
VS Code. I do have the HelloWorld.sol file. I copy paste from the lesson. I did create the HelloWorld.ts file as well, but I don't know where to find the Mocha Test Explorer, which is installed, because when I go to the extension part, it says uninstall, meaning it has been installed.
This one is installed for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
and it's enabled?
It is written disable, uninstall.
Okay.
Like you,
So,
same thing.
yeah, the cursor is exactly the same of VS Code. It's a fork from VS Code. So if you click that drop down, or if you look on the side pane, you should see testing. If not, you can do like a right click here
Testing.
and enable testing. Yes.
No test has been found in this workplace.
And then you can click on refresh here.
I don't. Okay, refresh. Then it is written test discovery failed.
Okay, so it might be the same problem that Arda was having a while ago. It was, yeah, I guess it was, right? So you can check if you are in the correct folder. If your project is open here with the package.json.
I am.
And if you have the mockrc.json. .mockrc.json.
No. Okay, this I should put it again. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And then it should solve the issue?
Yeah, it should. Then when you refresh your testing, it should be able to pick the correct tests. Okay.
Okay, I will try. Thanks.
And this extension maybe is not super needed. You can still do something like this. It only, and then you run it from the terminal. npx hot test, and then it's going to only run that test too. Okay. That hello world. We should give a hello world. Okay. You see. It's just that sometimes we're going to want to debug things. We're going to do other changes. So if I go back to hello world, and if I test it here, the Mocha does not compile your smart contract directly. Mocha Test Explorer doesn't know about compilation. I've changed it here, but still it's wrong here. Okay, because I need to compile again. When I run with the hot test, it compiles automatically. Okay, so the Mocha Test Explorer is not that important. You can still test with the CLI test, and it's even more powerful because it compiles things first and then run the tests. It's just that you don't have all of these features of debugging and all. After I compile, then the test should pass here. Okay. Is this clear for everyone? This link here, the tools, how we're using? Vladimir, yes.
Is it possible somehow to compile it automatically inside VS Code or Cursor without running the command in terminal?
Yes, you can open your command palette, Ctrl-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P, and then you start typing compile, and then that is this option from HardHat. If you install the HardHat extension to compile the project. Okay, Ctrl-Shift-P, compile project. Very quickly, you can do that very, very easily. Okay. Good. Any other questions? Let's start diving in what we have here now. Okay. We have a TypeScript file that we copy and paste that is governing everything that is happening between this link of the HRE, the Hot Runtime Environment. Let me show this thing for you. The Hot Runtime Environment, HRE, do not confuse that for the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, those are different things. The HRE here is short for Hot Runtime Environment. And it's a way for us to link, for us to bridge, for us to compose a working blockchain environment to base all of our scripts and tests when we are running these commands in TypeScript. It can even port information from mainnet and testnets, copy it there, put in a local testnet. If you want to test like a trade or test like a deployment or an operation in mainnet before doing that in mainnet, you can come fork the mainnet, do that inside the hot environment, see the output, and if the output is good, and then you send this transaction to mainnet. Okay, it's very powerful and complete on what we can do. Here we are using the hot runtime environment to communicate with the public client that is able to see public information of this blockchain, like block number, get past block, and all. We have some pre-configured accounts. If you remember that list of accounts that we run in the test yesterday, you might recall them here. We have these accounts pre-funded. We can deploy smart contracts. For example, this contract here is using VM to deploy a contract by the name of Hello World. Just need the name. Here we don't have parameters. And then I'm using these objects that are deployed again and again for next tests that we have. This is why we have this function called load fixture. Remember that example of the car that I used? Imagine that you are going back in time and doing all of those tests. You go back in time, you crash the car. Okay. And then you go back in time and you test the air conditioning. That's good. Then you go back in time and you test the speed of the car. So crash is good, air conditioning is good, the speed is good. So you don't have one test interfering with the others. Okay? This is the design that we have here. I'm going to show that again using a feature that is breakpoints. Okay, those little red dots. We can click before lines and add breakpoints in each of those lines here. And we can use a function called debug to go over them slowly, one by one. And even we're going to stop the time. We can even change and inspect the values of those variables on the fly. Okay. For that, I need a Mocha Test Explorer. It's not possible to do that from the CLI. Okay. You are going to pick one of those tests and you are going to click on debug test. And if you have placed those breakpoints, the test is going to stop at one of those conditions. It's going to break. That's the name breakpoint. Okay. And then we can do more tests. We can do more stuff while the time is frozen. We can hover over the variable. This public client, I know the type of it, but I can't do anything with it. So I'm going to click on this button to continue for the next breakpoint, which is the next line. It would be the same thing of doing a step over. And then I have the value of this public client. It's going to use VM to call the hot runtime environment to get this object called public client. This is the documentation for it. Okay, it's getting the public client that would be able to fetch information from the public JSON RPC API of that node. So for example, with this public client here, I have a chain that is connected here. This name is hot with this ID, with these RPC URLs that I can call. It has some options, for example, for me to estimate gas, for us to get the balance of an account, for us to get the block, for us to get the last block, okay? Get the transactions, what's the name of this. So there are all of those functions available for me to call in this public client. I can see it because I've paused the time here. I'm doing the debug. Okay. I guess someone's with an open mic. Vladimir, you want to ask something?
Oh, sorry, I
No worries.
forgot to
No worries.
disable.
That happens. No worries. So we have now the ability to stop time and see the things that are happening. For example, let me continue one line and see what we have in the owner. Okay, so in the owner, we have this object called account, and in this account, we have this address 0xF39F. Do you remember this account? These are the pre-funded accounts that we have when we run the task accounts from yesterday. These accounts are the ones that we have in that array, 0x797099. Those accounts are the pre-funded accounts for the hot runtime environment when I do this get wallet command here from VM. These accounts, they have a private key there. I can even sign transactions with it from the code. Okay. I'm going to do a step over now to see what is HelloWorld contract. So HelloWorld contract is a contract that is deployed to this address. It has an ABI with a first function of the type constructor, the second functions of the type view. It has this address. I have a function to read this contract. I have a function to write this contract. I have a function to simulate calls in this contract. All of that I can see here while I'm debugging. I can interact with these because of this environment. Someone coded all of that for us. Okay. Vladimir,
Yeah, could you show how to enter to the debug mode?
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I have shown that. So you're going to place those breakpoints here before the
Yeah.
lines that you want to pause. And then you're going to pick one test scenario. You are going to clicking run debug. You're going to do right click and then debug test. Or you can come here for the debug tab to testing. And you can pick one of those tasks and click on debug test. Both should work the same.
Yeah, it
Okay.
works. Great, thank you.
Let's go for the function itself. Okay, did something wrong. Okay, continue. Now I have the hello world contract here returned with this address, the function read and all. And I'm going to call the read command for reading the value of hello world. This is going to call the smart contract there deployed in that address inside the Hat runtime environment as if it was just an object, like I'm reading a database. So it's very convenient. I can just read that information. It returns in that string, hello world, like I have here. Okay. Dante, you have a question?
Yeah, like in the testing, I see Test Explorer, but I don't get any of those tests that you see.
This list, there is a button to refresh tests here. The conditions are, it should be in the same folder. You cannot be in a folder above, so it should be opened in the same folder. You should have the mock.rc.json configured there, and you should have a test inside the test folder. Okay.
Okay, let me verify that. I'll get back to you.
Good. And does it fork the testnet? Here it's creating a testnet from scratch, so we are in the block 0, something like that. But it can give it orientations for the to fork the testnet and pick balances and things like we have there publicly. Okay. So I'm going to stop this test. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to run all of the tests that I have. Run everything. I can clear those breakpoints. And this is the state that I have right now. In 6.5 seconds, I can test all of these scenarios that I have here. I can test that it gives hello world when I deploy this smart contract. It set the owners to the deployer account correctly. It should not allow anyone other than the owner to call transfer ownership. And then I have a call. I expect this call to be rejected. This is something that we see very often. We saw that in the lock script too. And we can even send transactions for this smart contract. So look, I'm going to have a transaction hash here. When I write the command of transfer ownership, transferring from my account to the other account, then I have a receipt from the transaction hash, and then when the transaction is included in the blockchain, I can see if the changes really happened. Okay, the scripting here we're going to use that for scripts later. The scripting here step by step can guide you to understand the operations, and it might be the same operations that you did in the weekend, right? You did try to transfer ownership, you did try to set the text, okay? You did execute transfer ownership, right? So the same things that you did manually, you can do with the tests here with the script. Okay, in 6.5 seconds instead of a few hours, like you did in the weekend. I have 2 other test scenarios. You should not allow anyone other than the owner to change the text. It would be very similar to this scenario here. Okay, basically copy and change a few lines of code, and it should change the text correctly. It's similar to this one. Should execute transfer ownership correctly. You can copy and change a few lines of code to say that it should change the text correctly. Okay, it's optional, not super needed that you complete this homework. Okay, what is important is that you read all of these references, not all of the links inside the reference, but the pages that I put in reference in itself. And if you have any questions or any issues on your side, you can create the GitHub issues with your questions, and I'm going to get to that shortly. Okay. Tomorrow we are going to use these tools for learning a new smart contract. For learning HelloWorld.sol, we're going to learn about mappings, about arrays, about structs using this tool. So it's very important that for today and for tomorrow's lesson, you read those references, those links here to know what is going on. Okay. Laurent and Marco, you have questions?
Yes, when you say read the reference, how deep we should go in the links, because it can take hours. So how deep
Yeah,
you expect us to dive in?
just the page that you have. Like, you don't need to click the links on the side of it, and things are going to start making sense. So if you learn about the hard hat runtime environment, scroll to this page. It takes like 2 minutes to read this page. See, you don't need to click the other links, otherwise it would take a week to go over everything.
Okay.
Just shallow read to all of these links that I have here. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Don't worry, not too much homework.
No, I just want the clarity because it seems a lot of.
Yeah, it seems like a lot. Don't worry. Just skim to these links. Should take a few minutes each. Okay, Marco?
Just a question. When last week, do you remember when we modified, we switched the lines of code in the modifier with the underscore and the required statement? It is going to catch it in this kind of tests?
Yes, we are going to see tomorrow these links. Everything that you do in the smart contract is going to be captured later for what you do in the tests. Okay.
Okay, got it.
For all of these questions, people, feel free to open GitHub issues. It was too silent there. Let's use this time. We are already above the lesson time, so let's use the lesson time for everything related to what we are seeing here. And please ping me 10 times per day. Don't worry, don't spare me. I'm going to answer all of these questions on Discord, on GitHub. Okay, because I want you to test things at home later and see what issues you're facing so that I can help you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.